Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Coach Andrew Delva and Coach Kevin Bullock are today's guests. These two local coaching legends will talk about their experiences competing against each other and their new role joining forces to coach together.
Local coaching legends, Andrew Delva and Kevin Bullock, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Nice to meet you, everybody.
Yeah, so good to see you guys again. This is an interview 30 years in the making, and I'm the only bald guy here. I'm not happy. That's all I'm going to say. So I interview a lot of people, and some would be considered celebrities, but I'm just telling the audience now that these guys were in the classroom with me, and these are my heroes. So I'm so excited that they're here today. So let's start at the beginning. I'm going to start with you, Drew. How were you first introduced to football? And then what was your high school playing experience like?
Oh, I was introduced to football. That started for me, in sixth grade, not being able to play Pop Warner because of the weight limit. So then I got to play in seventh grade. I started off at Pomona Middle School. Then my family moved, and then we ended up going to what was then Spring Valley Junior High, became Chestnut Ridge. And that's where things really, blew up for me. And then going right into high school, right into Spring Valley, where I always got to watch some of the greats. And I was, fortunate to play on one of the greatest teams ever come out of Rockland County on the 1997, Spring Valley team.
Yeah, 1997. And that was, who was the coach then? Joe something?
Joe Ruback was the coach. He was the head coach. But then Coach Bullock was the defensive coordinator.
Wow, I didn't know that Coach Kevin was defensive coordinator. I'll tell you something. I'm going to name drop Frank D'Alessandro. Love Frank. He said to me, Mark, let me tell you about the talent of that team. He said, you could have coached that team to the championship. I still remember that. He told me that 20 or 30 years ago. And I remember I went to Roosevelt High School 400 years ago. And I remember there's a time that Roosevelt played you guys and the legendary coach DiMatteo was there.
Yeah.
So that really took me back because I, of course, didn't play. I played in the school band, but I wasn't on the football team, but the football team was legendary there. So seeing you guys, coaching and Drew, I think you might have been the coach then when it was against DiMatteo. What a full circle moment for me that legend and this legend did that. So I know that those were your beginnings. I didn't know you weren't in the Pop Warner because most people do go through that from that area in the East Ramapo School District area, Spring Valley, New York. What about you, Kev? How did you start?
Oh, mine goes a little further back, 1989. I was 21 years old. I, was done playing high school football in 86, and I was home. I was going to school at RCC, and two former teammates were the JV coaches at Spring Valley High School. And one of the guys, who was the coach's son, Kenny Boykin, couldn't get to practice all the time. He worked in the city. So the other coach needed help, and he reached out to me, and I said, all right, you know what? I'll help you out. Went to Mr. Boykin, who was the head varsity football coach, asked him, could I volunteer? He said, I could always use the help. And I thought to myself, I'll do this for 1 year, start doing some other things. Fast forward, 34 years, this will be my 34th year coaching football. That kind of opened the door. I went from the middle school level. I volunteered on the JV in 1989. Then a paid position opened up. I went to what was then Spring Valley Junior High School, coached there from 1990 to 1993. 1994 and 1995, I coached at Cacac Junior High School. And then the following year, a former teammate of mine, Joe Ruback, got the varsity job at Spring Valley High School, asked me to be his defense coordinator. I was defense coordinator there in 1996, 1997, and then was head coach at Spring Valley from 1998 to 2003, went over to Mount Vernon for 4 years, and then landed back where I teach, Ramapo High School, and been coaching there ever since.
Right, and I remember some of that because I came from the Bronx to East Ramapo in 95, but I started in Cacac. Then after 2 years, went over to Spring Valley. So wait a second. So Kev, you coached Drew Delva?
Yes. Coached against him in the beginning when I was doing junior high football. I was coaching at Cacac. He was playing at Chestnut Ridge, so I coached against him in football, coached against him in basketball. And by the time he finally reached Spring Valley High School, he was a sophomore. The previous year when he was in 9th grade, we had a good team. We tied for the county championship. And the following year, a lot of those kids came back. And it was really loaded, it was really talented. And Drew came in and I said to him, I said, listen, you're a good player. I said, these guys are great players. If you want to play linebacker, you won't play much this year. I said, but if you play where I want to put you, where you can benefit the team, you're going to play a lot. He said, I just want to win and I just want to be out there. So we made him a defensive end. The only year he played defensive end for us, his sophomore year, and we were a school record 10-1. Made it all the way to the state semifinals, lost the game before we would have played in Syracuse. And it was the school best record, best team, lots of talent. Guys went and played D1 football. Guys played college football. Phil Bogle went on to play at New Haven and at the professional level with the Chargers. Ronaldo Atemi, he played in a junior college first and landed at Auburn. So the kids, played a lot of talent. Mike Mayhew, one of the, most versatile football players I ever had. He played at New Haven. So guys went places and played, and it was a great experience. And I guess that year, going so far, losing in the state semifinal, everybody chases that dream to get back there. Yeah. And, none of us have gotten back there, but we have dreams of hopefully getting there. But, if that doesn't happen, I did see a side of football that was there. Like, I have to be honest, you talk about celebrities. When we went that far, I remember when we were 10-0. We were like local celebrities. Like, you go places, people honked horns at you. You go buy food, you weren't paying. It was funny, and people
great times.
Looked up to you. It was good times, and people remember that. People see old pictures. They're like, wait, you coached way back then? I was like, yeah, that's me. The young days.
Yeah, love that. And I was there teaching, which was so much fun. But so Drew, what can you tell me about Kev as a coach? Because now you can rewind through a coach's eyes, but first it was through a player's eyes.
Yeah, coming out as a player, my style of coaching basically came from Coach Kev. Being aggressive, a defensive coordinator like he was, and blitzing, and being creative. So it was just natural. And the funny thing is, when I got into coaching, my first year graduating from college in 2005, when I graduated from Westcon, and I got into coaching, I remember sitting in Kev's living room. He was going over defensive stuff and planning things out, style. And I was just a JV coach, young coach getting into the game. And, he was basically like a little mentor to us, to me. And then, it just grew from there and just, groomed that. I always tell people, like, I'm basically taking the Coach Kev path of coaching. Right. Started as a TA, coaching multiple sports, multiple jobs, going back to school, getting your master's, being a head coach at a young age. So like I basically followed the same path that Coach Kev has followed. And now it's going to come together. So like I said, we battled against each other. He's coached against me, coached with me. We've coached together in an all-star game. So it's been a path of us being together.
Well, and Kev mentioned some names. Phil Bogle, who also was very big as an administrator in, I think, the Indoor Football League in Philadelphia. He's now with the NFL. And I want people to know that this is not an easy school district to be successful in. There are tremendous money problems in East Ramapo. It was a phenomenal place to teach. My wife graduated many years ago from East Ramapo. It was considered back then to be the best school district in Rockland County. So you guys were, maybe Kev thinks you were just local heroes, but as you got closer to the state, that Spring Valley name was all over the state of New York. So this is a very, the budget doesn't always pass. There's very little money to make the magic that you guys do. So, if you talk about making lemonades out of lemons, that's what you guys have done. And I've seen it firsthand. So now you're no longer rivals because of money constraints and whatever. Now if the fates have brought you two together, and there's not the Ramapo Griffins and the Spring Valley Tigers, I believe it's the East Ramapo Titans. So yes. Walk me through, Kev, how did you first find out that you guys would be coaching together?
Well, we, for a few years, we could forecast what was happening. We saw how many seniors we had that we were losing. The numbers of the underclassmen were low. So we would talk to each other. We'd play each other, and then we'd talk to each other, say, you know, how many kids you got coming back? We're like, this is going to be trouble in like 2-3 years. We may not have football teams. So we asked 2 to 3 previous athletic directors about merging, and all 3 were against it. And they said, you know, we should be fine. As reality sets in, and just to clear the air real quick, our merging wasn't so much a district doesn't have money to support football. It wasn't that. It was the numbers are low, and our fear is 2 to 3 years from now, me and Drew have been saying it's going to be a soccer field, not a football field. There'll be no football played on it. So we thought it was best that in the district we merged the teams. Neither one of us had a JV program the past 2 years. Mine was even longer, but neither one of us had a JV program the last 2 years. So if you're a 9th grader and you played, you sat on a bench unless you were a star. And we were losing kids who said, well, I'm not going to play, so why go to practice every day? Mm-hmm. So we had to do what was best, you know, for us to save football in the district. And our new athletic director, Greg Russo, backed us. He told us, be patient. I told him we can't do it like this anymore. He said, be patient. We'll meet. We'll talk about this. And we were scared it was going to be a meet, talk about this, and it'll drag out 2 years. And it happened fast. And, you know, they went through everything, told us we'd be merging. We were excited. They asked us, how will we do it? Will we be fine doing it together? How will we put together a staff? And I mean, you know, when you look at our staff, it's a bunch of East Ramapo graduates. You know, it's 95% of the coaching staff I've coached. The only person I didn't coach on our staff right now, not including volunteers, but only person I didn't coach was Will Pettiford. And we were rivals at Ramapo and Spring Valley back in the mid-'80s. So we all know each other. I didn't have to bring in outside faces and introduce them and try and sell them to the kids. Our kids, you know, everything's transparent to them. They read through. They know who's real. They know who's fake. They know who's just here to, you know, put on a show. And they know they could trust us. And the kids are excited. That was the part that I liked the most when it was announced. And I was announced as the head coach. Kids that Drew coached reached out to me on social media. When they saw me in person, they would shake my hand, hug me, say, congratulations. I'm excited. I can't wait. And my kids did the same for Drew. They reached out. They started following, if they weren't already following Drew on Instagram. I told you he's the king of social media. I got kids following Drew that weren't even following me. I said, yo, what's going on? But it was a big thing. And I think that it's going in the right direction. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, come see us in Syracuse in November. Nobody's saying we're going to win a state championship. If we do, that'd be beautiful. But we want to build. We want to get a JV together. We want to build. We want to see the young kids develop. And we want to take the kids who are going in their last 2-3 years of high school football, try and develop them to be not only good football players, but, you know, outstanding citizens.
That's great. Yeah. And I know the philosophy you guys share. You know, a lot of times on my show, we talk about the story behind the glory. So, Drew, what goes on? Because I taught at that school. You made a certain culture of almost a guru culture of football based on who you are and what you do. But what goes on behind the scenes, getting the money, getting the practice time, putting the work in? I used to see you in the library all the time watching film. And, you know, you're talking about a population that wasn't always known for the best attendance. And, you know, they were strict with the rules. You don't have certain attendance. You fail a certain number of classes. You don't play. So what was your philosophy on, using the word that Kevin used, building that team and building that culture?
You know, that culture, like I said, you know, we set the standard, and the standard was, you know, we're gonna work, and, you know, whatever we don't have, we're gonna work for it to get. You know, big thing is, you know, with a lot of our kids, when they look around and they would see other districts and other teams have this and they would have that, and they would look at it and say, why? How come we can't get it? It's because, you know, we're the so-called poor school. And I used to just tell them that's not us, and, you know, we're gonna do things to make it right, and we're gonna, you know, be on a community basis. And our team was funded by the community. You know, whatever we couldn't get from the district, you know, because of budget restraints, the community, you know, backed us up. You know, I'm a big community person. Like I said, I'm a homegrown Spring Valley grad, East Ramapo alum. You know, all from elementary through high school, And that's what we build off of. Like I said, both staffs are East Ramapo products, and that's what drove me. So mentors like like Kev, he's a Spring Valley grad. Oh, all right, he came back, and that's what I wanted to make sure we have. So we always left it open to the community and let the community be involved and see what was going on, and just build that culture of we're going to run a program. What we have, and we're going to make it. What we can do, being blue collar workers, and that's what we strive from. We don't got a silver spoon. And, we don't get all the fancy things all the time, but what we do have, we appreciate, and we make do, and we make magic out of it. And, and it just got contagious with people, and people in the community love to be involved. The kids seeing it, got to grow up and understand, like, all right, hopefully that's going to be me one day. And that's what we just try to strive for, just making everybody proud, despite all the negatives that you may hear. There's a lot of beautiful things that's come out of Spring Valley, and tons of talent that has come out of Spring Valley. Like I said, Coach Kevin's coached guys who are in the NFL, who's guys who are doctors. I've coached guys who, it's funny now, I'm at that point. This is year number 19 for me. I just finished coaching, so it's like, wow, 19 years already has gone by, and I've been, to 2 weddings of former players of mine. I've been to babies' christenings. And, then you're seeing guys with doctors, real estate agents, and all the types of things. And we share that. And that's what people get to see, like, wow, where did that person come from? Spring Valley. So that anywhere you go, you're going to see somebody who's going to talk about, our town, Spring Valley. It's small, but there's a lot of jewels that have come out of Spring Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've rarely seen a community of staff, teachers, teaching assistants rally behind a sports program like they have to you. And as a former member of the East Ramapo teaching staff, just blessed to have so many amazing people. But I do want to switch a little bit to education now, because both of you started as pretty much teaching assistants, and somewhat later in your careers, you both became teachers. So let me first ask you, Kev, how is the newer role, it's not so new for you, but of teacher, changed your outlook on education and maybe even coaching?
I think, like you used to say things to me, the late Sid Farber used to say to me, it's tough. You're telling the kids, get your grades up, play well, you'll go to college, you'll get a degree, you do what you want. And I did that, but I didn't have a teaching degree. So I basically came out of Dominican College in 1992. I had a bachelor's in psychology. And I like to tell people now that say they want to go for a bachelor's of psychology, I said, well, you do got to go back to school. Basically, I hold a piece of paper that said I went to school for 4 years. And I later, got into the educational field. I got a master's in special education from LIU. And 2 months after I got that, I got a job in East Ramapo as a teacher. And everything's been great after that. I mean, you even said, I watch you do a lot that teachers do, but you don't get paid nearly as much as they do. You need to go back to school. So, I did that, and it wasn't because people were hounding me or telling me. It was the right move. I remember my first year coaching football in 1989. I actually coached football and had 3 jobs. I worked 6 days a week, but I didn't work the same job every day. So I had a schedule. I knew where I was going to be. I knew when I had to get out early to get to practice. I knew I had to go to work after practice. It was tough. I remember taking rides home after working 2-3 jobs, dozing off on the Palisades, feeling that little curb, waking you up. And I said, I can't do this forever. And I remember the first year I was a teacher, I was coaching when the season was over and it was wintertime. I remember coming home at 2:00 and I looked around like I was supposed to go to another job. I was supposed to be doing something. I said, I guess this is how life is supposed to be. You work hard, that time you're there, and this is the reward, So it's been good. I probably have about 3 more years before, I think 2-3 more years before I think about retiring. And I don't know. I will say this is not a knock at where I work. If the district was, financially in a better situation, I'd probably stay till I was 62 and think nothing of it.
Right.
Now it's a lot tougher. There are not a lot of things working in the teacher's favor in the district. But the one thing that never changed was I love the peers I work with and love the kids I work with, kids I coach, kids I teach. That keeps us going. We know there's a reward. And it's great, for me and Drew, men of color, kids see that, I can do that. You know what? These guys, they did it. They came through same hallways we did. They did everything we did, and they made it. And, we try and promote that positive culture. Drew talks about community. It's all about positive culture. Spring Valley has changed over the years, but we always had that cloud over our head. Even in 1997, we had a great football team. We were looked at as outlaws, the bad guys. Yeah. But we embraced that. And I think the media never showed the positive side. It's quick and easy to put an article in the paper or something that happened in Spring Valley, but would never promote when kids got accepted to colleges or did great programs or, move on. You have Rob Sindorf, who's a head basketball coach in Division I for years now, Spring Valley graduate. You see these people who went through the same hallways as us. Like they're all heroes in our eyes. We're all heroes to each other. We're all celebs to each other. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah, so true. So true. And Drew, what made you flip the switch at some point and say, okay, now I'm going to go? I may have mentioned that to you also, because I know I always wanted to be a teacher when I was back.
That was definitely even part of it. I was very fortunate enough to work with some great teachers where I got to learn from, and obviously, be around, and they treated me. I wasn't like a regular teaching assistant. Like I said, I would lead classes, and they would look at me and said, you need to get paid for doing this the right way. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then time goes on, obviously opportunity needs to happen. And the financial part of it, like Coach Kev said, you work in multiple jobs. I coached all 3 seasons of the year. I worked summers at the summer camp. I used to have those, odd end jobs also, because you want to be able to, take care of your family and everything. But opportunity arose, and LIU, again, like I said, I'm taking the Coach Kev route. You came with a great program that, it's a TA to teacher program. It was flexible with the scheduling for me. I was still able to coach and, with little modifications with things. And the program has been great after 1 year of the program, being able to teach and, be paid for it the right way and, get your master's in it. It was great. A great opportunity. But again, it came from being around teachers. Like I worked with Tova Medeski in biology. And, she used to just say to me every day, like, wow, this is what you really should be doing. And, I never thought nothing of it. I was like, I thought this is just my job, And she just said, keep on, Daryl Marks, obviously you would say things, when I came back. And so people just say, saw it. And like I said, opportunity came about the right way. And, I took advantage of it. And then I let the kids know, like when Coach Delva, he's got to leave practice a little early. Where's he going? He's going to class. Like, oh, he really is. Like, yeah. So, we talk about, the education part and how we can do it and manage time and everything. And that's what, we're able to show them. And it's been great, being a teacher and, being compensated for it and, being able to have a future with it. And then, like I said, the kids see you in a different light, and the staff is real supportive. I'll never forget that first day this past year, teaching when they saw my name as, the brand new teacher. I'm a new teacher, but I'm not a new teacher. Right. But, so it was a great feeling, and being respected like that.
Well, there's definitely such a great story here and a common thread and a common theme between what you both said. So, and I worked in the district for years. We were always or often seen as the island of misfit toys, like from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And you can't, unless you experience the magic, you can't explain the magic. Because I'd be at dinner parties and tell people, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what? What you read in the newspaper, if there's a fight, it's this big. But all of a sudden, wonderful things happen. Shows led by Stacy Tiro, people doing wonderful things. Font 6 on page 40. So, I mean, it was really unfair. But so many, you mentioned Sid Farber, a close friend also, gone way too soon. What a legend in education. Also, Paul Shapiro. He said it best in one sentence. Oh, Spring Valley, because I was going to go from Cat over to Spring Valley. He said, oh, Spring Valley High School, it's the best kept secret. Nobody knew how great it's some of the best educators I've ever worked with. It's some of the greatest young people I've ever worked with. So I want to just end the last couple of minutes and say that, I first billed this as the interview of 2 local legends, but I cheated because I know I always do a deep dive on my guests, but I didn't need to dive too deeply because I lived it with you guys. Now, when I taught, Kev was in the classroom. He was a teaching assistant and so helpful. But taking the education aside, you have to have that connection, and the connection and respect was evident. Now, I was a dean of discipline for 6 years. And I thought I did a very nice job, but I had a very easy job when somebody walked into that room and sat down and I said to them, what's the problem, this and that? And I said, hey, do you do anything after school? And they said, yeah, I play football. My job was done. I picked up the phone. I called the office. Tell me where Delva is this period. Called the classroom. Delva came in, and I just sat back and watched magic happen. And when he walked in, it wasn't pretty. It was great, but not too many words needed to be said. It was just unbelievable. So what you guys have done and cultivated with people who are from hardworking families, many of them are from single parent homes. The parents have 2 and 3 jobs. You're in loco parente. You're in place of the parent. And what you've done and the culture of both schools and the pride they have in the football program is really second to none. So, I'd be remiss in my duties if I didn't ask you guys to come on. And I'm so thankful you did, because I've seen firsthand the magic of what you do and what you do for children. So I just have to say to Coach Drew Delva and Coach Kev Bullock, thank you for joining us today and sharing your recipe for teamwork and working together now. Opponents, now you're together. To the viewers, don't forget to watch us on E360 TV, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST. Roku, Apple Fire, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course our YouTube channel. So remember to subscribe. Andrew Delva, Kevin Bullock, local legends on behalf of the viewers and the many thousands of students and lives you touched and mentored. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.